This is TV International. I'm Debonitas.
And I'm Fariborz Pooya.
And now we're talking about the elections in Iraq. They just have happened at the beginning of March, 7th of March. It's the second election since the invasion by the US-led coalition forces. And the last one was in 2005. And now we had some very surprising results, I would think, for many media outlets, what you could see before and after the elections. But we have with us now Issam Shukri, who is the leader of the Left Worker Communist Party of Iraq. And we wanted to know what he has to say about the elections that have just happened. Welcome, Issam.
Thank you, Patty.
Issam, they say that 62% of the people eligible to vote in Iraq have partaken in the elections. Tell us a bit about the elections in Iraq.
I believe that the number of participants is not very important. You know, people have doubts about these numbers and figures, and it's coming from the Western media that wants to picture Iraq as an oasis of democracy and so on and so forth. So they try to pump these figures about the amount of participation. That one shouldn't really rely on these figures as a gauge or as a lever for what's happening there. As you know, first of all, I have to say that Iraq is an occupied country. Iraq is under the occupation of the United States of America for the last 8 years. America's presence in Iraq is heavily seen, even still now, in the streets of Baghdad. And the whole situation hasn't changed in my mind. It's only the media that is trying to exaggerate the outcome of the elections, because in my analysis that the Obama administration position now has shifted a little bit tactically to back up the Arab nationalists, which are more or less represented in the list of Ayat Alawi, it's called the list of Iraqiya, which is the main winning list, and so-called seculars. But in fact, it is an Arab nationalist list which has an alliance with the Islamic Sunni, which has some indications that America is behind this list. Saudi Arabia is behind this list, and this is an indication, to my mind, if there is any indication out of this so-called elections, because we said this is not an election, this is just a farce. If there is any outcome that we can witness, it is the rise of the Arab nationalists versus the Islamic Shiite, which were in the past the heavy groups controlling the so-called parliament in Iraq.
So, Issam, let's just rewind a moment. You're saying Al-Alawi and his, what is it called, the Iraqi National Movement, they have actually, at the moment, they have won with 2 seats more. They have, in the elections, they have gained 2 seats more than al-Maliki and his coalition. And you're saying they are probably backed by Obama, the US, and that is possibly why they have that victory?
No, it's not because why they have the victory. It's I'm trying to explain the situation. After the fall of the neoconservatives in the United States, of the defeat of the United States in America, after 6 or 7 years of war and tragedy and catastrophe in this country, as you know, Obama and the Democratic Party has shifted into the policy of negotiations, and that now they want to bring back, as an outcome of the failure of their failure first, of the United States failure and the West, in bringing the Islamic militias. After this failure and the failure of forming a so-called state in Iraq, now they are negotiating to bring back the Arab nationalists, i.e. the Ba'athist, the old Ba'athist. And Alawi was, from the beginning, 2-3 years back, he was the negotiation person or personality in Iraq with the Baathists in Turkey and in other parts in Syria. He held some meetings with them. And in my mind, I believe this is the American new tactic that has been implemented in Iraq, which is negotiate with whoever can bring peace and be able to form a legitimate, strong central state in Iraq. And now they're trying this venue, which is bringing back the Ba'athist, and that's why you see that Alawi has won. It's not, it didn't come because the Iraqi politics is independent or autonomous, or this is the will of the people. This is all garbage in my mind. Iraq is a battlefield between the Islamic regime of Iran from one side and the U.S. and the West from the other. And now these positions have been polarized around the policies, the new policies of Obama administration. And of course, Iran is still struggling to support and back up its militia, Islamic Shiites, that they seem to be losing, but not that much at this point.
Issam Shukri, we understand that the Left Worker Communist Party of Iraq has issued a statement in relation to this. What's your sort of message to people who see this program on international TV, on New Channel TV and international TV? And also, what's your message to people in the Western countries, in particular in Western countries?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the elections in Iraq is a farce, and I have to repeat that over and over again. The conditions for a fair elections, the normalcy of a society, is not there, is not available in Iraq. As I said in the beginning, Iraq is under occupation. Iraq in a state of war. There are explosions. There are suicide bombing. There is a military intervention, U.S. military intervention in every single aspect in the Iraqi life. The society is not normal. So anything that wants to elude people that this is a normal society and there is democracy and elections has been, fair and all that, it's just the people in the West, and people of Europe and the rest of the world has to understand that there is nothing of that. It's just media, and it's just a way of trying to pass the American policy in Iraq and picture that as winning for democracy.
Our
message is
sorry, go ahead.
Just briefly, our message is for the people to differentiate their position from the position of the U.S. and the Islamist position, i.e. the Islamic Republic of Iran. And inside of Iraq, we have a very strong message not to support Alawi, not to support the Islamic Shiites, and to have a one humanitarian front in Iraq. And we consider ourselves as spearhead of that front.
Don't you think, despite the daily bombings and suicide and threat of violence, despite the fact that Iraq is a scene of battle between battle of New World Order and Islamic groups and Al-Qaeda on one side and this nationalist, Iraqi nationalists on the other side, Islamic regime of Iran, don't you think that people of Iraq has used this opportunity to actually stamp the mark on the situation in Iraq?
Actually, the people of Iraq, in my mind, still live in the conditions that have been created, or that was created 8 years ago. They don't have much interference in the in the decision upon their political future.
Okay.
So, so I believe that the situation is still basically the same. True, there has been some quietness. True that there has been some peace, but this is only fragile.
Okay.
Things will explode again, things will deteriorate again, and it's only a matter of time.
Sorry, thank you very much, Issam Shukri. Our time is up. We'll continue this discussion later on. This is TV International. I'm Fariborz Pooya.
I'm Debonitas. Until later. Bye-bye.